That Beaten Biscuits.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'll tell about.
While we have a lot of help to turn to,
You better put that down.
I'm going to right now. While I have all this help, we'll make some Beaten Biscuits. You remember, Connie, when the Beaten Biscuit machine was bought, don't you?
Yeah. Remember that? I had my first suit of clothes at
First suit of clothes?
Mama got it at Stewart's, was it? In Louisville?
Yeah. And I remember that day we went down to Bacon's, and I thought, boy, that was the greatest thing. All in the center of that, you know, it was all open, clear to the up top floor. And I thought that was something. And then we went down to...
You'd never seen a store that big?
No. And then we went down to Stewart's, and that's the day she bought that Beaten Biscuit machine.
Well, there were a lot of ladies in town who had them, and I remember the little recipe book that came with it, and they were made in St. Joseph, Missouri, but they no longer make them. And you can once in a while pick them up at an antique place or a sale.
Well, they burned up. I saw some rollers all rusted out. I mean, I don't know, someplace, and saw the old stock and had those rollers. They wanted an exorbitant price just for those little rusted rollers.
Goodness sakes. Well, the first rollers that I remember, they were wooden fluted rollers that Mama fastened onto the kitchen table. And then they came out with these steel rollers and with the marble top and on the stand. Now, I think the one that Horace and Polly Bird used, I don't believe it's on the stand. I think they still fasten those rollers to the table. And Horace has to have Beaten Biscuits every morning.
What?
Just like his grandfather.
When Tom Gardner, he had to have apple dumplings every day.
What?
Who did?
They called him Dump. I don't know what his name
That's
was.
Henry Pusey, Richard's grandfather.
But he wanted an apple dumpling every day.
Well, and I guess he got it.
Yeah.
I'll give you the recipe for this, for the Beaten Biscuits. I have in here 6 cups of sifted flour, and it's better to use the soft flour than the hard flour, whatever that means. One's winter wheat and
Soft wheat.
yeah.
Or one's winter wheat.
Now I have just washed my hands, but this is what I have to do to mix that flour in with the.
That's the best way in the world.
Okay.
Mix butter and cream, butter and sugar
We have
for a cake.
6 cups of flour and a teaspoon of baking powder and a scant teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of sugar and a cup of lard, a scant cup of lard. I like lard better than Crisco. I used Crisco once. Some of my friends use Crisco and have good luck, but I didn't that one time. I tried it. And I have a cup of milk. And here we go. We have to mix it until it's all in a ball. Then we'll take it to the roller and roll it. Usually it takes about 20 minutes of muscle. I've heard Mary Jo Jones say that she turns it 200 times. Well, I
Sometimes that'll work, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, that's right. It's hard to tell. But, oh, I should have gotten my pan and my cutter out before I got my hands into this, but I didn't. I want to show you that cutter. Connie, in that drawer there is that little puncher. Show that. Well, you have to stick these things 3 times with a fork. And I said to Connie one day, why can't you fix a thing that has 3 forks on it? So I just have to punch 1 time. So he came up with
That's
that.
the result.
And I thought he ought to have it patented.
Well, that'd be a good patent, Connie.
But he didn't take to that idea very well. Now I think we can,
Go to the roller.
I think we can roll it with this. This is, after I once get it started, it's okay.
You got over there.
You have to roll this back and forth, back and forth. And to get it started, I think the dough is still a little too dry. After you once get it started, it's not so bad. Don't go so fast, Connie, until I get it started.
Do you remember the suit that Grandma bought you, Connie, when she bought the biscuit machine? Your first suit?
First suit.
Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Did it have knickers or long pants?
No, it had knickers.
Knickers.
Blue serge.
Blue serge. Wait a minute. Suppose you let me do this until it gets started good, because I can tell when it needs stopping. Have a seat. Camel, when he was here, we made Beaten Biscuits, so we could use his muscle. And he seemed to me like he was in such a terrible strain, but he said not. He's so fond of Beaten Biscuits. I see, that's doing pretty good. But see how rough the dough is? It looks like it has acne. And you have to do this until it is smooth and satiny. And that varies. But it'll take about 15 minutes anyway. You're lucky if you get through with it in 15 minutes.
Margaret Goodson told me this morning.
Well,
Some fellow there writing a book about the diamond strength
oh,
and the armors,
right.
and wanted to know about hosiery.
Oh,
Did you ever hear him say whatever became of him?
no, but I think he's the same one who was a partner of Grandpa Hotopp.
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about.
That's what Campbell said, that And he looked up in the history while he was here that it was the same Holdsworth. And he did go to prison.
Yeah, he went to prison, but you don't know what time it became of it.
No.
And
Yeah,
I
think that's sticking together good enough that your muscles can take over. Boy, it's good to have so much.
Oh, I remember Miss Molly.
Yeah, I remember her,
Who was Miss Molly?
the wife of
Motion.
Holdsworth, who was a partner of Grandpa Hotopp in that bank, and he stole $10,000, and Grandpa had to make it good, and that's how they got the house up there. That's where Mr. Holdsworth lived. He owned that property, and so they took that in on the bet.
But Holdsworth was the one that met Arnold out west.
Out west, I think it was the same Holdsworth. No, it was the murder. He's the one who shot.
Shot Arnold.
Shot Arnold. I thought.
Holdsworth didn't shoot him, did he? It was a fellow by the name of Showers
Yeah, that's what Connie said. Showers.
that shot.
Holdsworth was in that story some way. How was that?
He was his partner.
He was Showers' partner.
No, he was
Arnold.
Arnold's partner out west when they were doing all the swindling.
Oh, I see.
You know, they even had Tiffany's, the main fella from Tiffany, and with that diamond swindle that they pulled.
They had a good thing going while it lasted.
Well, Campbell said that was because of their establishing the geological survey after that swindle.
Well, see, in the morning paper, that big antenna at Green Bank collapsed.
What? They have a high wind?
I don't know. It didn't say. It just said it collapsed. No, Hughes' brother.
Oh,
I don't know what he's curious. I don't know just what.
Hughes Showers, the druggist. Oh, sure enough.
These two fellows were looking for each other and met in the old courthouse. One came in one side of it, the other came in the other side. And I think they had a shooting right in the courthouse.
And that courthouse had a breezeway all through the center.
It was open.
Yeah. I'm sure glad you came out to spray
Well, we got the kale spray.
got the kale spray, and I get somebody to turn the Beaten Biscuits machine. See, it's getting a little smoother.
Does the marble have to be a certain temperature?
No, but it's better if it's cold. Wait a minute, Connie.
Where did Grandma Cates keep her machine most of the time?
On
Back
the
porch.
back porch. Back porch was closed in, you know. But they had one of these up at Cash's place in the basement when I went through there some years ago. There were some tourists in the group, and they decided that it was a clothes bringer. I didn't like them. So many people don't know what big Biscuits are, but I'd heard Miss volunteer. I can't call anybody's name. Miss Bess Miller say that her father had hollowed out a stump for that was in the yard, and he hollowed this stump out for her mother to
Beat the biscuits.
beat the biscuits. He had a mallet, made a mallet for her, and she literally beat the Beaten Biscuits. That's how it got its name.
Mama, before they got, I've heard her say, but before they got that tool, wooden thing, they beat them with a rolling pin.
Was this a Southern recipe?
Well, I don't know where it came from, but Beaten Biscuits originated in Maryland. People in the north don't know very much about Beaten Biscuits. Connie getting tired.
Have you ever caught your finger in the rollers?
No. But the grandchildren have caught their fingers in those cogs.
It's fun. That's something that would be fun with grandchildren.
Yeah, they can't resist turning the thing. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to hit you. It's folded over.
That's getting in good shape now.
Yeah, it's done good. It's toward the last that it begins to get hard to turn. You're throwing your whole weight. Connie, wouldn't it be easier for you to hold your body the other way?
No.
Okay. Marble is a little yellow. It had been there in the sun.
Well, that's coming good now.
I believe you have an expert roller there, don't you?
Yeah. Take it back. Now that's our first pop.
You want it to pop, right?
That's see how much smoother it is now than it was when we first started. You have more muscle than I have. I have to throw my whole weight against
It's
it.
getting pretty stiff.
But it's doing extra good. It's showing off for you, Ella Mae. It likes being filmed.
Two experts. Takes years of practice to do that.
Well, I wasted a lot of ingredients before I got the hang of it.
Now the dough has to pop, is that
Well,
right?
it's popped some. You probably couldn't hear it over there. It just little pops, but when it gets real nice and smooth, it's, you heard that one, but it gets louder than that. But it's more than the popping. See, Connie's putting his weight against it now. I hope you don't get a sore shoulder, Connie.
Sure.
That's where it gets me. See?
Mhm. Can I help? I'd be glad to turn.
I think there's some sticking after a while. No, I think we're about turning. Let's open it up. Now, I open that so it can, we don't do any rolling with a rolling pin. We do our rolling with this. And I try to get it the right thickness. I don't always do it.
Again.
How thick should it be?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I get it too thin, but other times, but it about, I guess it half
Give
inch.
her another one.
But see how satiny the dough is now. Maybe this will do it, we'll see.
That was a loud pop.
I guess that's all right. Now,
You're most welcome.
dough, and I'm afraid to file. I'm afraid I'll cut
It
myself.
has a bead on it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but you have to press kind of hard. But I like to make the smaller biscuits now. I used to make larger ones, but I like the small one. Well, thank you, and see if Estelle can't come home with you.
Well, I don't expect she can.
Well,
She wouldn't want to come
it'd be,
to Patty in the shape she
Oh.
She might want some.
yeah,
Patty's.
okay, well, anytime.
And see if she came Monday, why, be Wednesday before we going back.
And I might,
Go Wednesday and
sometime
come back early Thursday morning.
sometime I might go up there with you to see if I can find shoes.
Shoes.
I've looked out here again and I can't find anything to fit me.
Okay.
So, well, thank you for all the manpower.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Connie.
Now, you just have to do this until the whole thing is, I don't try inside that fold there, the ridge, because we have to roll it some more.
Roll the ridge.
We have to pick up the dough that's left and roll it out again.
And you don't need flour on your,
No,
to cut those out.
Uh-uh.
That's amazing.
it's, but see how nice and satiny it is. And I don't know how Mary Jo can count the number of turns. Now, whether she was just saying that, I don't know, but I'd heard her say 200 times. But I believe it's more than 200 times. After you cut as many as you can with the first rolling, then you have to re-roll it so you can get it to the right thickness. Boy, that was a real can. Every once in a while there's a little speck. Some oil might help my roller, but I don't like to oil it. I'm afraid oil will get on the dough.
About how many biscuits can you expect from that?
Almost 6 dozen biscuits this size. It varies whether I roll the thickness I roll it. This is a nice thickness. That other was a little thin. My cutter needs to be sharpened a little. When you get to this stage, you're awfully glad because you're tired of rolling and this seems kind of easy. But you have to stick all the way through. Nell Edmondson said to get all of the air out. She used to make beaten biscuits to sell. And this is, the recipe I use is Nell's, and it was practically the same as a Mrs. Cleveland in Georgetown.
Want to show us the cook's biscuit?
Yep, this is the leavings. And I was telling you that Papa and just regular biscuits, he didn't want the cook's biscuit, even if it was the last one. He didn't want it. One of the children had to eat the cook's biscuit. I never could figure out why, but cook's biscuit was as good as any.
Just wasn't as pretty, was it?
Right. Now we're ready for the oven. I bake these at 350 degrees for about half hour. Sometimes it takes a little longer, and I put them about the center of the oven. Now you can forget them for a half hour. Bake about a half hour. Now if you like them a little browner, you can leave them in longer, but I think that's all right.
And how many biscuits do you have?
About 6 dozen. I think this time we have a little more than 6 dozen because these were rolled a little thinner than I normally roll them. Kind of like that thickness. See, there's quite a difference.